everybody. It's Sean from Avid. Welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have Dr. Claire Berlinski here with me today. She is the editor of the Cosmopolitan Globalist on Substack. And if you haven't seen this site, you really need to check it out. It's full of in-depth writing and analysis on world affairs and issues. She hosts symposiums with academics, journalists, and writers that dive deep into some of the world's most important issues. If you like superficial, fluffy news, then it's probably not for you. But if you are looking for in-depth analysis on some of the most important issues around the world, you're going to love it. So I highly recommend her Substack. Check it out. Dr. Berlinski, just to give you a little bit of bio here.
Claire. Claire.
Oh, sorry, Claire. She's Claire. We're going to go with Claire today. Claire holds a PhD in international relations from Oxford University. She's written several books. She's lived all over the world, which I want to talk about a little bit. And on top of that, and this really kills me, she is currently living in Paris, France. So get that. So she's a lot cooler than the rest of us kids. So, Dr. Berlinski, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I know it's really, really busy last couple of weeks, so I really appreciate it.
Please call me Claire.
Claire, I'll get in my head. Yeah. Claire.
Sean,
Welcome, Claire.
thank you. I really don't know very much about you. I know that you were in the Marines and you served in
Yes.
Iraq. Where in Iraq were you?
So I was in the invasion, the early phase of the war. So I was actually a reservist. And when 9/11 hit, I got activated. And actually, okay, this is similar. You're from California, right?
Yeah. Are you?
What part? I'm from the Bay Area,
Yeah,
California.
me too. San Francisco.
Oh, okay, I'm from Livermore, out a little
Yeah.
bit more up toward the valley, but yeah,
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
that on your bio. So yeah, so I was in a reserve unit in the Bay Area there, the primary unit out there. And when 9/11 hit, we were very promptly activated and spent a year at Camp Pendleton,
Right.
working up for the invasion, invaded Iraq, um, went all the way to Baghdad in a 7-ton truck, and of course that was a crazy experience. But when I got out, made it through the war, obviously, and then I had a job at the CIA lined up, and I just immediately coming out of the Marines, I did about maybe a week of partying, and then just tore up my apartment and moved out to DC and started my career in the CIA. And for the last 20 years, 20 plus years, I was an analyst in the CIA,
Right.
working primarily my whole career actually working Middle East. So,
So
uh,
you just quit to begin a new kind of life.
well, I was getting close to retirement, but then with all, what really put me over the edge was all the Doge stuff. And when the second Trump administration came in, I was like, okay, that's it, I'm out. And so I was thinking about years about starting kind of a nonprofit or something. Like I was really watching the situation, the political situation in the United States, and just more and more dismayed with what was happening in the politics there. And I wanted to start an organization for veterans like myself who are concerned about the state of democracy in our country. So I started doing that. When I retired, I jumped right into that. But then I realized, um, I was all by myself, didn't have a lot of support, and like just starting and running a nonprofit is just it's pretty daunting. So I just kind of went on to Substack and started writing, and I figured, well, let's just start here and try and build up a base, and we'll see what happens, basically. So here I am today. Yeah. Oh, a cat just ran across the screen. I
Yeah, yeah.
heard
So that's
that's
pretty common.
normal.
Yeah, yeah. This is Boober.
Okay. Yeah, so that's my story. That's how I got to where I am today.
So I'd like to hear more about your career as an analyst and what you were focused on.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what I can tell you what I can.
Yeah. I mean, to the extent that you can.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd say the first part of my career, I mean, I worked the entire Iraq War. So I came in 2003, right from the beginning where they were really starting. So, like, of course, the regime fell. There was a period where people were high-fiving and, Bush landed on the carrier and it was mission accomplished. And I came in a little bit after that where attacks were starting to rise in the country and it was just starting to dawn on people that, you know what, we have a problem here, we have an insurgency. And it just went from there. I think my first month was August of 2003. And that's when the UN headquarters was bombed, where Sergio de Mello was killed, the UN ambassador to Iraq. And then just from that, it was just like off to the races. It was just like it was Al Qaeda in Iraq at the time, and it was just attack after attack, and just things started deteriorating very quickly. and it just had several years. I was just in that account working the insurgency in Iraq for years.
Right.
So yeah.
So you know the Iranians very well.
Sort of, just it's kind of I did not focus exclusively on the Iranian account, but just by proximity to Iraq and what they were. Yeah, yeah, that was my first, and then subsequent accounts I would indirectly. I did not work in the Iraq account at the agency, but like kind of a lot of the issues where they were mucking around in Iraq and that kind of thing. Yeah, so worked it kind of secondarily in several different accounts I worked. So, and then after that, after the Iraq war started winding down, I decided to just, I was extremely burned out. That was a very tough account.
Yes.
Yeah, it was 24/7 and like years of just like dealing with that. So I decided to take a break. I went and did some Arabic language training for a year. And then after that, I started working the Syria account. So I worked mainly
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
what's that?
Out
I
of the
know.
frying pan into the
Right
fire.
after that Arab Spring and the civil war in Syria was really heating up. So those were the two countries I really focused on the most in my time, with also some other smattering of like Lebanon, Iran, all the other. I mean, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Do you feel are you can you give me a sense of what morale is like at the CIA and whether we've retained any of the experience that we need right now?
I can't tell you because I really just kind of walked out of there and I have a few contacts in there, but I haven't really been talking about it. But I can only imagine
Mhm.
that, with what's going on, it's not very good. And I can tell you that, of course, when you start arbitrarily laying off people and threatening, you have to remember before most of my time in the agency, the thought of someone just being arbitrarily fired or even worse, fired for producing analysis that the executive didn't agree with. That was not even like considered like that was just like you wouldn't dream of something like that happening. So everything changed when Trump came in, and all of a sudden, there was definitely a change of um, atmosphere in the agency. But I got out last summer, so I was just like, I have to get out of here. It's just time to go. Um,
I
so
fear
I,
that
I do have the feeling that things have changed a lot. I will say, the people, the rank and file, this is the other thing that killed me about all the deep state BS that the administration's been playing on for years. It's just like I worked with some of the most dedicated, um, professional people, and I'm honored to have worked with them who cared deeply about their work and their analysis and are really just trying to provide policymakers with the best information so they can make the best decisions for the American people and for the security of the American people. So to see this kind of gradual and then really dramatic over the last year politicization of the intelligence communities, the militaries, it was extremely dismaying to me. And that's a part of why
oh,
I just said, like, I've got to do something about this. I got to stand up, speak my mind, and push back a little bit about against what's happening here. So
yeah.
yeah, it was
I worry
hard.
the people who stayed are going to be the people who are most comfortable with the idea of doing whatever is necessary to keep Trump happy instead of sending accurate information up the chain.
Yeah, yeah, and it's unfortunate because you see so many, of course, I'm into my career, older guy now, but I came in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I know the feeling. You see so many young people come in there, raring to go, good, like just smart individuals, and you just feel bad for them. You're just like, oh, it's like they're not coming into the same environment that I was when I was a young kind of junior analyst. And it's sad, because you don't want them to have to deal with that kind of stuff.
And it's also
And
potentially catastrophic for national
yeah,
security.
and then also you get into all that you're going to be getting just like analysis that the president wants to hear. And like, that's like, and also, when I came in and they were serious about this, like speaking truth to power, like, and like insulating the agencies from politicization. I mean, they preach that gospel when you come in, like they tell you, like, this is important. The agency believes they want to be insulated from politics. They don't have any politics creeps into everything. We know that to a certain degree, but not, you've got to be on guard against that. And that really was part of the culture of the agency when I was in there. And I'm afraid things are just changing dramatically. And it's sad. And I
Yeah,
think I think down the line we're gonna end up paying for it if
it's sad
this
and it's
continues.
scary. Oh, we're going to pay for it sooner than down the line, I think. I mean, I am appalled by what the administration did not plan for, did not anticipate. And I expect it was very similar to Putin invading Ukraine, that no one was willing to tell him, hey, there's this thing, the Strait of Hormuz, and Iranians are masters of asymmetrical warfare. What do we have a plan for any of this?
Yeah, I wonder about that. I wrote a piece about this today, and it's
Oh,
just
did
the
you? I
same.
didn't see it.
Yeah, I sent it to you. Check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd like to. Can we
it's in
just
your
pause so I
inbox.
can read
It
it?
Yeah, this is kind of like the second part of the one. Yeah, so like I wrote a couple pieces on this, but it's basically gets into the culture. Like, I truly believe that Trump has just, his leadership style has permeated throughout the entire government. It's all about like him. And when you get into these cult of personality type things, it's like, does he really, the traditional way of doing these things? And it's not perfect, but it's to have advisors who are willing to speak and deliberate, especially in matters of war, where you want
It's
your advisors to be
it's
honest.
not a joke. It's not a joke.
No,
Everything he's
you do
saying
not. Yeah, you do
has to
not
be on
want,
its own.
you just don't want a bunch of sycophants in there who are just gonna like rubber stamp everything. You want to hear, and these are the things I've learned over the course of my career, and you want to check your assumptions. You want people to argue with you, and you want to hash all that stuff up, and you want to keep going and doing that until you're confident. And sometimes war is always ambiguous, it's risky. And I have a sneaking suspicion. I don't know. I know as much as anyone else in the street at this point, or anyone who reads a newspaper, but I just have a feeling that they there was a lot of baked in assumptions to this war. Trump thought
Oh
it
yeah,
was gonna, yeah, he thought it was gonna be
thought it was going to be like
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
And how could he have thought that? How did no one tell him, look, this is a very different problem with
I ha
very different dangers?
I think some people, I don't know if they did in such explicit terms, but that was a line I had. I said it doesn't take much to disabuse a normal person of the notion that, Iran is not Venezuela for so many reasons. But I have a feeling they just didn't really try that hard to, you know, kind of talk Trump down and maybe explain some of the complexities of attacking Iran. That's just my feel. It's not based on a lot of hard evidence, it's just based on, a lot of what I've read in the press. And one thing I wrote about, like really, like I think you can piece together um, a, c- a good argument for is that I don't think they really thought through the fact that Iran, if it was backed into a corner, was going to seize the Strait of Hormuz and what the strategic implications of that would be. There
They didn't
doesn't
even have
seem,
to seize it. They didn't even have
sorry,
to. They didn't even have to seize it. Lloyd's of London did it for them.
that yeah, exactly. And furthermore, this has been known for decades that the Strait of Hormuz is one of the most, it's actually is the most strategic choke point in the world. And this is not a secret. It's been known. I mean, you can read
We studied
academic
in graduate
analyses.
school. We
Sorry.
studied in graduate school.
I
This,
know it's 101 stuff. So when you see the fact that they're like grappling with this 2 weeks into the war, like, okay, well, maybe we need escorts and maybe we can clear. And then you have stories come out several days later saying, well, the Navy can't really do this because that would require, they would really literally have to clear the literal coastline of the strait. And there's all these problems. It's kind of like, well, didn't you guys think through this before?
goodness, these
It's mind
Iranian
blowing. It really
drones.
truly is mind
Drones
blowing
are
to
really
me.
changing warfare.
Sorry.
These drones, these Iranian drones, they're really changing the nature of warfare. We didn't pay any attention to this.
All that, and by the way, we just had two uh really contemporaneous experiences. We had the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, which was kind of a precursor to this, which showed what kind of like this scrappy militia force can do with some of the new technology and the drones. We also had Ukraine that has really surprised Russia and some of it. So we had examples, and it's kind of like, this isn't straight for most people. I mean, yeah, it kills me. I don't. It just it seemed like, and I have a feeling that just because of the leadership style of Trump that trickles down throughout all the agencies, that they were just like, okay, like, you want to do this, let's do it. And that might be an simplified. I'm sure there were briefings, I'm sure there were discussions, and deep in the bowels of the Pentagon, I'm sure there were people looking at these problems, but I'm not sure this was really communicated to Trump. And I don't think Trump's capable of listening
No, he's
anyway,
not.
to be
Famously,
honest.
he doesn't sit through his
Yeah.
intelligence briefings. Look who's running. Look who's the DNI. Is she going to be
Oh,
communicating?
that's all.
I mean,
Yeah. She's too busy chasing, like snooping around for election, you know, trying to recount the election of 2020 than
and
doing her actually job, which is like, yeah,
yeah,
national intelligence. Yeah.
transmitting
So
every secret she can get her hand on to Vladimir Putin.
that's blatant politicization, by the way. It's nothing to do, that has nothing to do with their job. So anyway, yeah, to see all this stuff, I'll go even for it. It's just like kind of as a professional who spent, and I love my time at the agency. I thought, I mean, it was love hate. There were times with any tough job, there are times you just want to like, I don't know,
So,
walk off.
as an analyst, what probability do you assign this war ending in circumstances better than those we that obtained when we began?
So as an analyst, I've learned that, like, so I'm not going to dodge this question, but just like
Probability.
a
Probability.
caveat a little bit. So I've learned I've had times where I thought I was dead certain. Well, first of all, I've had times where I was dead right and like made very correct call on important issues. And then I've had times when I've been wrong. That's a very humbling experience. So when you're looking at war, you know that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to analyze. There's always these black swan events that can crop up. Wars never play out the way they were originally um, kind of forecast to play out. However, I think it's very, very difficult at this point to see how this conflict ends in kind of a quick and easy and just like clean ending, depending on what the objectives are, which is unclear. But it's very, very difficult to see how in the next couple weeks things are just gonna, and what these are things the administration have said. The oil secretary, Chris Wright, he was just like, initially he was like Trump's oil secretary. He just said, oh, we're gonna, this was like right when it was dawning on them that they have a serious problem in the strait. He put out a statement. Of course, these guys are cheerleading, they have to, it's part of their job, but he put out this statement saying, oh, it's just a matter of time. Very quickly, we're gonna have the strait cleared. And it's kind of like, no, you're not. Your reports within the next couple of days, it just gets worse and worse. So yeah, I don't, it's very, very hard to construct a scenario where this thing kind of like ends in a positive manner, the way the administration thinks it might end. However, and I did write about this a little, the regime could collapse. It could, we don't know. It seems to be holding on right now. It's finding asymmetric ways to fight back. It could collapse, but even at that, and I wrote another piece on this. Like, it's just like if the regime were to totally collapse, you're going to have the rump of the regime. It's totally unclear who's going to step into that vacuum. And so you have the IRGC, they have the guns, they have the money. So if the regime collapses and there's no other kind of ground force or allied force there to protect the people that we would want to come into power, which I'm assuming would be the liberal Democrats, wherever they are, um,
There's nothing there though. There's
there's
no.
nothing there. I mean, they're really just banking. This was part of the problem. They were banking on a popular uprising coming up and I don't know, just kind of taking over the government. But and here's one more thing. We have the experience of Iraq that shows us that things necessarily, don't necessarily play out that way. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm blabbing here. So yeah. Um, But I did go through this with Iraq. My frame of reference is Iraq, and that really was an experience for me that taught me that, be very skeptical of war plans and what the government says, and like things never play out as easily as the initial war. I mean, they can, I guess. There is always a chance, but things are always tend to be much more complicated than the original planning foresees. So
If there's any lesson to be learned. It's if you must go to war, and I think there is a case that we had to go to war. If you must go to war, you plan like mad and you prepare the public and you have
That
contingency plans for everything
absolutely.
that's likely to go wrong, and you know your enemy and you are careful in what you say.
All of that. And you owe it to the forces you're sending it. You do your due diligence to do everything you can. You know, Trump came out and said this before the war started, like, hey, this is gonna be a quick and easy affair. Well, you never say to say that in a front, like to assume like that's just like that's setting yourself up for disaster. You never say that going into you assume the worst and yeah, prepare like hell. Yeah, and even when you do that, things are gonna go wrong. But just the whole thing is just like I just feel like you're again, I'm going to say this one more time. It's top down, it's trickling down from the top. It's infected the whole culture of this administration. You've got a bunch of yes men who are they were just sloppy. It just appears now something might come up later that they had all these complex war plans that, but I think you can piece together a very coherent argument that like they were derelict in their planning for what could happen in the Strait of Hormuz and what is the plan for the US Navy to clear it if Iran seizes the strait. That's the obvious kind of like scenario
Alliance
that,
management.
sorry,
Alliance management. I mean, we have freaked out our allies around the world. I don't think we're going to have any allies at the end of this
I I feel the same
escapade.
way. 100%, 100%. I mean, the Gulf, all these countries in I have a good friend in Egypt, and I was talking to him the other day, and Egypt's, as you know, like their economy is really, really in bad shape. And he said he's terrified because their currency is slipping even further. Their gas prices are going up, food prices are going up. They're out of the line of fire. Like Egypt's kind of tucked, they always play this kind of neutral role in some of these conflicts, but he's just like this is not like it's really, really affecting the economy of Egypt. And um Egypt doesn't have a lot of kind of money in the bank reserves to deal
I
with
mean,
any kind of a contingency. So
this is going to be so destabilizing for so many countries. I mean, in Europe, it's the last thing we need. Absolutely the
I
last
wanted
thing.
to ask you about that. I want to ask you. So let me ask you now, what are you seeing? Have first of all, have the economic effects started to ripple out in Europe or
Not profoundly, not yet, but they will. It's too soon to really see them, but this keeps up and we're going to see them big time. And there's a lot
yeah.
of anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety. And of course, there's a lot of talk about how we have to become strategically autonomous and not have our fortunes hostage to these crazy Americans. The real break was that talk about seizing Greenland. And
Yeah,
that
I
was,
know. I follow that very, and I was just
I don't think Americans realize how disastrous that was.
no, they don't. And then
Uh,
the administration doesn't care because he's like, who cares about, we're just going to go at everything alone. We don't need the Europeans, which is such a flawed kind of analysis. But yeah,
and
yeah, that I knew, and it was borne out. You see it, all the stories you read. It's just like we did serious, profound damage to our alliance and our friends, people who fought with us in the war on terror, by the way, and
mm,
supported us in our wars. And we just
mm,
turned around and just like, I
slapped
don't
them in the
know,
face.
slap in the face. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And now we've lifted sanctions on Russia. And that's, it's never going to be forgotten. I think a lot of Americans think, oh, well, we'll get it normal administration and then it'll be a lot of work, but we'll repair all of this. No, it's not reparable. There are some
Yeah,
things we're not going to be able to undo. Europeans are never going to allow themselves to be in a
no.
position where they have to rely on us again. It will take them a while. But then we have, we organized our relationship with Europe the way we did for a reason. We're
Hmm.
going to have a Europe that's very militarily capable, but that was a big problem. That's why we didn't want Europe that was very militarily
Right. That's
capable.
why we wanted to have what was it? Keep the Germans down, the Russians out, and all that. Like
Yep,
that's why
yep.
NATO was created, so we can kind of have a little bit of yeah, and it worked. That's the other thing. Like all of these multilateral kind of security and economic, and all this, like institutions that we created after the world. I mean, I was this is gonna sound a little melodramatic. I was almost crying. It's just like this is what kept the world safe for the last couple
It's not
generations.
melodramatic at all. And in fact, I actually think people aren't being anywhere near dramatic enough. I think there's people aren't really registering just what we've lost and what we're at risk of now as a result. Um, it's cataclysmic. And I wonder, you're in the US. Tell me what ordinary people think about
I was
all
just thinking about that. Okay, so I think a lot about this because like my wife and I, we talk about it all the time. We're just like, oh my God, every night it's just like, Jesus Christ, like it's just one thing after another. And then you go around and then like yeah, it's astounding to me. So like my take is that you've got like I don't know what about 20-25% of the MAGA fanatics over here who are just gonna they think this is all hunky dory and great and like they're creating the golden age of America, whatever. Then you've got like the 20
they
twenty five
still think
percent
that. Because
Well, that might be
online you're
fragmenting a
sensitive.
little bit, but the base is still there. And, yeah, maybe that we might be like turning the corner on that. I don't know, but I'm just saying over the last couple of years. And then you've got the 20-25% people like us who are like, alarmed to the extent where it's time we need to stand up and do something. But the point of all this is that then you have the middle, kind of like whatever, 50% of the country, they're just kind of going about their affairs, mowing their lawn, taking vacations, and you just don't see any sense, especially not only on domestic, I'm sorry, on foreign policy stuff, but like think of all the headlines you've seen in the last 6 months or like that indicate that Trump is like looking to just whittle away our election security system, just to like it's astounding. Like if this kind of stuff were came out in the press 20 years ago, I would think people would be out in the
Make
streets.
that noise go
Yeah, yeah,
away.
yeah. That's a nice bird you have flying around there.
Everything is organized to amuse cats. Um, how do you explain
Yeah,
that? How
so
do you
that kind of is what blows me away. It seems like you have, I don't know, I can't put a percentage on it, but a big chunk of the people in the middle who just seem to be detached from what's going on. Maybe they have their head in the sand. Maybe they just think like, well, this is bad, but it's gonna kind of like work itself out in the end, or I don't know. I really don't know.
don't
Yeah.
know, or they are so overwhelmed by it that they've said, for my own mental health, I just have to think about other things and pretend things are normal.
I think there's that, but I think there's a lot of people who just a long time. I mean, this was a problem even this is part and parcel of why Trump kind of came into the office or kind of gained the presidency anyway, right? Because people kind of checked out in a sense of like politics in general and really paying attention to serious issues in American politics and not like all the mudslinging and all the insults and all the stupid stuff. But, at some point a while ago, people became so cynicized, they like stopped caring about real issues. That's my take. I mean, it just seems like that.
But why?
Yeah, that's, I,
Why?
there's got to
That's
be multiple reasons. I mean, just like, I mean, I think you've written on this. Some of this is, the internet. I think the internet's done a lot of damage and people are just being fed. Um, algorithmic because it's like slop that they want to watch and it's all escapist stuff. I'm really cynical, so maybe I'm a little off, but like, and then I think, I don't know. I mean, everyone's seen the statistics that people don't, I mean, journalism better than me. Like, people aren't really that interested in really immersing themselves in hard-hitting journalism and learning about what's going on in the world. That's just what it seems like to me. I don't know. That it's probably a multifaceted, reason, but
yeah. I was just thinking about this today, thinking that beyond the fact that Trump has said nothing that would prepare Americans for a war with casualties and an economic cost, a severe economic cost, Americans haven't been getting any foreign news for a long time because foreign news has just dropped off of Americans' cognition. It's slowly dwindled
I
away. People didn't notice it, and
yes, yes.
so they haven't been following what's going on in the world.
No,
They
I
don't.
learned that. So I had an opportunity to live overseas, not as much as you, but I lived in England for 2 years. And that's when I really realized just watching the news covered there and how they cover the world. And of course, Europe's close to Africa. They're like more in the thick of the world. America's very kind of like geographically isolated. Many Americans, I looked it up one time. I can't remember the percentage, but a large percent of Americans have never been out of the country, and
Yeah,
so I think that is a factor, but it just that when I lived overseas, I realized like, wow, the news coverage here is so much different than they actually cover Africa or just
and
like
when I
elections and so you'll never see that
and when I look at American news coverage, I'm shocked by it. It's so infantilizing. The newscasters are talking to Americans as if they're small children, explaining
same
things
here.
that are
It's like
that
patronizing. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
and
Same thing.
And then if you are someone who doesn't have a lot of time, which most people don't, people are economically strapped. They have families. If you don't have a lot of time and you're getting your news, as many Americans now are, from social media, you are
Yeah,
being subjected to foreign influence operations all day long, which we've done absolutely nothing to mitigate or educate people about.
I know. It's
And
just falling off.
your sense of what the reality of the world is, it's very, very different from factual reality, I think. Because I think Americans would be beside themselves if they understood the situation we were in. They would be freaked out. They would be storming the Capitol.
Yeah,
So
no.
storming the Capitol has kind of a bad reputation these days, what with January 6th. But um, they'd be so angry if they understood how much danger Trump has put us in and put our troops in, put our prosperity in, put our futures in, how much risk, insane risk he's taking. They'd be so angry. And there are people who are angry, but they seem to be on the far left and the far right, and they're the last people who we want seizing the conversation.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I like from your on Cosmopolitan Globalist, I love the fact that you in your masthead you talk about, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. Like, I don't know. You had some lines in there talking about how, we need to move to the center. You don't take a far either right, left position in your coverage. And that's something that I think is just like that's also the polarization, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Like when you have people who are like, prone to wanting to just watch the type of news that reinforces their kind of political disposition, then you're in trouble. I mean, the whole journalistic kind of the old school journalistic integrity of providing just, and I know it wasn't perfect, but it
It
just
was
seemed that
better.
just, well,
It was a
sorry,
lot
it was
better. It was
better. Yeah,
better.
100%. I mean, my wife and I always talk about this. Like, I wish you watch old news footage from the 50s and there was censorship in World War II and there was like all kinds of things that happened behind the scenes, but I do think that there was a greater sense within the government and the whoever the newspaper owners and the people around the media that they had a public obligation to educate the citizenry and the populace, and they were providing a
Yeah.
public service by doing that.
Well,
Yeah,
journalists have been completely demoralized by what's happened to
I
the
want to hear more
industry.
about this because you know much
Oh,
more about the,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, I can talk to you for hours about this. The internet destroyed the business model for journalism.
Yeah,
Newspapers were supported by classified ads, and Craigslist broke that model.
it was
And
Craigslist.
Craigslist destroyed journalism.
You
Craigslist
said this on your site. I didn't realize it was all
yeah,
advertised, but no, not just ad, it was classified ads that really gave them the
classified
bolt.
ads. Classified ads. Now, the New York Times has managed to find a model that works in games. Their games are supporting that entire
Yeah, I
newspaper.
play their games all the time, so I'm for
I do too. I
contributing
can't start my day
to.
without being told I'm a genius by Whirl.
Which one do you play?
I play I play the spelling bee. I do the
I
crossword.
play the
I
history one. What's
Virgo.
that?
I love connections. It's very
Yeah,
hard, actually.
yeah, it's
I
great. My wife does too. I mean, so they make a
are
lot
you
of money off that.
that's how they make their money, mostly. That and things like the wire cutter, or whatever it is, and the cooking section. Because it turns out
Yeah,
journalists always thought that the public was eagerly consuming the reporting that they were doing, that they were sweating blood to produce. No, people were looking at the sports sections and the comics and Dear Abby. And because it was all one product, because it was all a single newspaper, they couldn't help but cast their eyes over the front page and learn
yeah,
something going on in Iran. And now, because we've disaggregated all of these pieces of the newspaper, people don't have to
yeah,
look at the front page. They don't have to know there's something happening in Iran. And the worst thing about this is that journalists now know exactly how many eyeballs every story gets. So they know that the
yeah.
slot is more
They've,
popular.
they've
And
got the
even if they wanted
data.
to
The
do good
data
reporting,
drives everything, I'm
exactly, the
sure.
data drives everything. Even if they wanted to do good reporting to stay financially afloat, they can't. Your investors want you to have eyeballs on your
Okay,
pages.
so let me ask you. You got like what happened to the Washington Post and Jeff Bezos just like gutted it. So this guy's got more money that you would
I
think
know.
like if he was like a 19th century industrial tycoon like a Carnegie or something that wanted to do something good for the public, something positive for the public good, he could just cut a check for $1 billion and like
Or he could have sold it. That would have been better too.
that would have been
Hanging
better
on
too.
to it and neutering it like that is the worst possible outcome for the Washington Post.
Was that just, I mean, I don't know if you know why. I mean, you probably, what, was that just because it was a business decision, just because the Post was
No, it
hemorrhaging
wasn't a
money?
business decision. He needs Trump's favor
It was
because
political.
of course it was political. Of course he needs there's almost no major industry that doesn't in some way rely on the federal government for permits, for
Sure.
you know trust and antitrust legislation. I mean, the federal government can screw you up six ways till Sunday if it wants to. And
Yeah.
everyone appreciates this. And what's astonishing and so dismaying is that so few of our public figures have had any integrity about this. It's been so rare for any of them to say, "Nope, I'm
Yeah.
I'm not bending the knee." Uh,
Right.
and Bezos, I mean, he could have. He has enough money that he never needs to worry about money again.
That's the
But
thing. But
but
it's all
he,
politics. It's,
someone like that can't live without the thought of being a billionaire and competing with his billionaire friends. Once you're a billionaire, you want to be the biggest billionaire. You want to be the first trillionaire, right?
I
And so no one,
guess.
I think they're actually, I don't think a democracy can survive when you have people who are that powerful controlling so much of the economy and so lacking in civic mindedness.
Well, yeah, you see the danger. I mean, you see, I mean, look at Elon Musk, what happened in the first part of the, yeah, and you just get the, to be able to do that and just walk away and get away with it. And the fact that there was no, it just kind of happened and there was no kind of like inquiry or here, I mean, it just
You know,
happened. And yeah, it's crazy. That's
Lancet
power.
estimated
I
that the
mean,
cost of that will be 14 million lives.
yeah. So
And
14,
from
back. How did
USDI,
how did you come to that
the
statistic?
Lancet estimate was that the damage we did to public health in Africa,
Oh yeah, when he cut USAID. Yeah.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah,
and
I
PEPFAR.
know.
And how do you do that? How do you kill 14 million, well, estimated 14 million of the poorest people in the world, make a joke about it, and face no repercussions?
And that's the most important thing, the lives lost, but also I think so. First of all, I heard this. I have um conservative friends, and for years that was always, you could tell that was like a serious bugaboo of the right, far right, like, oh, we spend all this money overseas and we just giving away money to all this kind of, and you're just kind of thinking, well, no, it's really less than
Yeah,
1%
ask
or
them
what.
what percent of the
It's
budget it is.
minuscule.
They
And I
quote
know there were
25%.
problems. Yeah, but what having no, again, with some having spent some time in Egypt and talked to people there, Americans don't understand the goodwill that those aid packages and the good publicity for the United States that provided for us. There was a secondary kind of benefit that we got from that, and it was huge. And we worked with it, allowed us to work with contractors overseas, and there's all kinds of benefits aside from just the mere aid that we're going
Oh,
across.
sure. Absolutely. We
And
just handed Africa to China.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we just lost all that with a stroke of a pen. So
Yeah.
yeah, people don't, it's just, this comes back to like, people don't really understand that they have a superficial kind of like, Fox News soundbite understanding of these issues. And I'm not saying, again, there were some issues with it for, I mean, there's always corruption and things you can do better, but we got so much out of USAID and those aid packages, and people don't understand that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
I don't think journalists have done a particularly good job of focusing on that either because journalists are overwhelmed. There's so few serious journalists who are employed at this point. Thank God for Substack because they have made it possible for me to continue writing. I couldn't without them.
yeah,
Um, and I'm very encouraged that Substacks is really becoming a very good place to get news, but it's not something that people are going to know to seek out. They won't know where to go. When
yeah.
when there was a thriving local press, people would look at their local newspaper for local news, and it would also run stories from the wire services. And sometimes, believe it or not, local newspapers often felt it was a mark of prestige to have foreign correspondents. Imagine
Of
a time like
course. Yeah.
well, now it's inconceivable. I mean, foreign correspondent, everyone's cutting. The Washington Post just cut its Ukraine coverage with their correspondent out there in the field
I
in a war
remember
zone.
when the Washington Post got cut, they wrote, there was an article, I think it was in the Post actually, I'm not sure, but someone was saying like, I used to be able to go to any country. I could go to whatever. I could go to Germany or and there'd be a Washington Post correspondent there I could talk to, get a deep dive on what's going on in the country. So just all that regional expertise is just gone. And so as you said on your so now they're relying on stringers, but it just feels like it's just contracting less and less and less. And that's just I guess Americans are just having more and more myopic view of what's going on in the world, right? They're not gonna
Well, you tell
understand.
me because I'm not there, so I don't know what
Oh,
how
right.
ordinary people, I mean, the Americans I talk to tend to be people who are self-selected groups. So I don't really know what Mr. and Mrs. Average are thinking about all of this. I try to get a sense, I try to stay in touch by watching a lot of podcasts and videocasts and social media and I read a lot of polls because that's a little bit more
Yeah.
systematic. Um, I just don't quite understand how people are looking at all of this.
Yeah, and I'm not the best guy to ask because I'm kind of a hermit, but I mean, I
Yeah.
don't, I have my friends, and of course, I'm in the bubble. A lot of people I hang out with are interested in foreign affairs and interested in what's going on in the world. But you just do get the sense, if you just from watching the news and like the coverage that, and again, when I went overseas for a period of time, I came back to the United States and I just felt like people just aren't very interested. And it's gotten worse. The problem's gotten worse, in my opinion. So,
Just
yeah.
she's interrupting. Is that Abdul Hamid back there on your wall?
This is I don't know. So it's a picture I got in Cairo here.
Mm-hmm.
If I can do this. It's can I turn the camera around here? Let's see.
Yes, yeah.
Um I want to say it's King Fruit. It's the last so I just was walking down the streets of Cairo and shit, am I gonna be able to do this? Give me oh yeah, there we go. And so I just saw this. So I love Cairo because there's so many great antiques and just like probably similar to Istanbul. And it was
It's
just
actually a
sit
wonderful portrait.
yeah, no, I was just like, oh, I gotta have that. And
Look at that face, so full of melancholy and
yeah.
anticipation, fearful anticipation.
I love this art appreciation with Claire. This is so I forgot his name. I think he was the last king of Egypt
It
before
looks
the
like it, doesn't it?
revolution.
It looks like someone that's exactly what it conveys. It's exactly what it conveys.
Yeah, I want to say King Farouk, but I can't remember. I can't remember. But that I was just like interested because that you just imagine that probably was like all over the country, hanging in an old hotel, or they put the picture of their kings and
Mm.
everywhere, and I just saw that and I was like, I got to get that. I shipped it back. Yeah, so that's a
A wonderful acquisition.
little souvenir from Egypt. Thank you. Appreciate it. So let's see. What else are we talking about here? I wanted to ask
Well,
you a little bit more. Oh no, go ahead.
well,
What do you want to
I'm
talk about?
just curious about how you're viewing the world right now from your perspective, because you have all of the analytic tools that you've acquired and knowledge that you've acquired over the years, and you're looking at us throwing a grenade into the middle of the Middle East, and I'm wondering what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, so I'm shocked, and like I've said, just like the last year, especially, I guess, I mean, if you're talking about foreign policy and kind of like security issues, um, ever since Trump conducted the Venezuela operation, then we rolled straight into this kind of harebrained and just like crazy push to basically take Greenland from our NATO ally, Denmark. I just feel like I've never seen anything like this. I think we're in uncharted territory. Just
We
like
are.
you said, I think I don't agree with anything, any of the premises that, the America First agenda, all that the isolationist notion that we're just going to wall ourselves off, become a mercantile country, stop trading with. I mean, the whole notion, it just seems to me like we've taken all the lessons of the 20th century and just chucked them, and we're
You
and
devoted your life to a certain idea of America. As a Marine, you risked your life for it, and then you spent your life working in the service of a certain conception of America. And this isn't that America.
no, and that's why like there was a certain point in my career where I came to the realization where I'm spending my time. um, you know, conducting analysis, thinking really hard about threats to the American, to America and our interests abroad. And, after at some point in the first Trump administration, especially after January 6th, I just came to the conclusion like the greatest danger to America right now is internal and what's going on in our politics, period. So to me, it felt like having the rug pulled out from under me because to work in the intel business or even in the defense business, um, or a career in that field, at least to me anyways, I felt like the contract was broken. I come in to work in an intelligence agency, and that for me, the contract is I'm going to work for administrations that are going to obey the law. Basically, they're going to conduct business. They're not going to politicize agencies. They're not going to cross any of the red lines that are going to cause any serious damage to our government institutions. And I just feel like that was all, like, aside from the fact that what the administration was doing to the rule of law and our Constitution. So when I saw all these breaches occurring, I just felt like this kind of contract that I was operating under, where I'm supporting the government and providing, the best work I can to further a goal. I just felt like it was a breach of contract. And at that point, I just felt like it's time to go.
Who wants to
Um,
feel like they're working for Vladimir Putin?
what's that?
Who wants to feel like they're working for Vladimir Putin?
There's that as well. Yeah. So the whole thing just it started to feel very dysfunctional. I started to feel like the main threat to our country wasn't really Russia or China. I mean, they are serious threats, but the main in your face crisis right now is the fact that our democracy is under threat and deteriorating and our civil liberties and all of these things. So I just felt like I need to switch
You don't even
gears here.
have to
And it was
choose
hard
one.
because
But
I love the form. I just love studying and
yeah,
analyzing, intelligence questions and countries and the whole, like, working an account where my job is to learn everything I possibly can about a particular country or region. That's what I love to do. So there's a
you
little
can
hard
still
to
do
give
that.
up.
There's
What's
still a
that?
niche for that on Substack. You can still do that.
Yeah, I know, but I started this whole thing. But
Mhm.
my kind of niche that I started out on was kind of a little bit more of an activist, like, a veteran group that was going to stand up and kind of just like push back and fight for, um, our democracy and our Constitution. But I mean, with everything that's going on in the world right now, I've kind of slid over a little bit. And I am doing that. I couldn't help it. Like with the recent crisis that's going on, I felt like I just couldn't help it. I had to start doing some writing and analysis on what's going on in the Middle East.
Yeah,
And
you do. I mean, you've got so much authority and knowledge and training in doing that kind of analysis. It would be a waste to squander it.
yeah, yeah, and it's just yeah, and I do feel like
Sure.
when I try and do political analysis, it's like, I've learned over the last I can do it a little bit, but I'm just like, man, my this is not my skill set. I'm much better at looking at, especially the Middle East. I spent my whole career looking at that. And as you know, you've done a lot of, I can tell from your site, you've done a lot of work on the Middle East. Like the Middle East is never ending. You can never ever get your head around. I mean, it's so complex. That's one of the things I like about it. It just goes on and on and on, the history and the culture. And so I love it. I really do. And now here's another thing. This is diverging a little bit. One of the things I learned from my time being able to spend time on the ground in the Middle East is that Americans, all they think about when they think Middle East is terrorism. And having the chance to, like, immerse myself in the language, to talk to people face to face. And when you learn the language a bit, it humanizes. If you don't know the language, it's just like it's a barrier. But once you start to get comfortable with the language, it starts to humanize the culture and the people you talk to, and you just realize like these people are just like anyone else. In fact, they're
And
very
no one
more.
hates terrorists more than them because they've been the first victims,
Yeah, exactly.
primary victims.
All that. And so you're just like, man, America has such a skewed view of the region. Then you see all this Islamophobia stuff going on, and you're just like, that's another thing I'd like to spend some time on. But yeah, yeah. So that really changed my perspective, um, and was, a great takeaway for my career. So I'd like to do more work on that as well, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Have you thought about think tank work?
Yeah, but Don't have a lot of connections. I don't have a P. I've got a master's. I don't have a PhD, so I don't know if I could weasel my way into a think tank.
You've
But
got a pretty cool credential, though. I mean, not very many people can say I was an analyst for the CIA for 20 years,
yeah,
and I
yeah. No,
fought
I
in.
wish I'd done a better job network. When I was in the agency, I was a little bit of a little more roguish of an actor in the agency, and all I wanted to do was go overseas, and I didn't really build a good network of
Well, you're a good networker. You just found me out of
well, that's what
nowhere
I'm
and
doing
said,
right
"Hey,
now. Yeah. So
you're hoping I have connections." Oh,
yeah,
oh,
can you
I'm
give me a
sorry, I've been
job?
wasting
Can you
your
give me a
time.
job, Claire? Please give me a job at a think tank. I would in
I'll
Paris if
introduce
you
you to
can.
anyone I know.
If you can give me a job in Paris, I'd love that. No, I'm actually so like what I told my wife is I'm like, look, let me try this Substack thing. I want to give it a shot. I feel strongly about it. I don't know how this is going to pan out, but I have to try. If I don't do it, this is what it came down. If I don't do it, then I'm going to regret it. So I'm doing it. We've had some growth. Had some growth on my Substack a little bit, but I said if this doesn't pan out in a year and a half, then I'm going to start looking at other options. So
Substack is you've got to be prepared for slow growth. It will be steady though. I mean,
I've learned that. Yeah,
people who have a lot of subscribers have been doing it for a long time, right? So don't
yeah.
be dismayed if it doesn't take off immediately. Just keep at it.
Just keep going. That's what I've been doing and trying to reach out to people. And I've noticed the more networking you do, and it's all of the above. It's writing, network, putting out the small. And I mean, I just really like what you guys are doing at the Cosmopolitan Global. I mean, the I was just looking at you had that symposium on Iran and political
Yeah,
Islam.
that was
That's
really
the
good.
kind of stuff that's like, I mean, it's just a
Well,
cut
why don't you
above.
come
And so,
next week? Come and join
sorry,
us. Come and join us next week on Sunday,
you.
please.
Okay.
In
I don't
fact,
know
would
how
you like
much
to
I
be
can
our
speak
guest
to
of honor?
politicalism. I'm sorry.
Would you like to be our guest of honor?
Maybe not a guest of honor, but maybe like maybe a minor guest with a minor bit piece. Maybe we'll see. No, I'm up for anything. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
didn't watch. I mean, I just have the experts and you have like what you got with those were academics, journalists, and
Well, Shay is an Iranian who now is he's writing for the Middle East Forum and he's
okay,
studying for I think his master's at Johns Hopkins. I don't want to get this wrong, but he's trying
yeah,
to be an expert. And Nirvana has been writing. She's Egyptian. She's been writing about the Middle East since the Arab Spring, and I just think she's really good at it. So
yeah,
I wanted to bring her in because I think everything she says is intelligent and interesting. Um,
yeah.
yeah, why don't you come on Sunday? And you can even assign reading beforehand.
I guess. Okay, I'm not gonna refuse this offer. I'll do it. So I don't know how much political Islam that's a pretty deep subject and like
It is a pretty deep subject, but it's a really
yeah,
good one to talk about. And they've been doing my class has been well, we had Middle East 101 was the original class that became transformed into the symposium because I wanted to broaden it a bit. But we started
hmm,
after October 7th. I was becoming so horrified by what I was reading on social media and by the general level of total ignorance about the region and about the conflict. I
yeah,
told
that's
myself, you're either going to give yourself an ulcer or do something productive. Why don't you
yeah,
start teaching a class and at least you'll have some people at the end of it who aren't so ignorant anymore, right? So that was,
yeah,
to my surprise, it was a huge success. People were really willing to do the reading. They were really willing to approach the material. And it's difficult material too. If you've never studied the Middle East before, and I throw you in the deep end with the the Balfour Declaration and the original documents, it requires some commitment, but they were committed and they did the
yeah.
reading. And now there's a group of people who we've been meeting every week to talk about the Middle East for a couple of years. And when someone brings up Qutb, they know exactly who that is and they've read him.
Yeah, Sayyid Qutb. I know Sayyid Qutb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
well maybe it,
Middle East people know who Sayyid Qutb is, but most Americans don't. So I was very proud that they learned what they need to know to be informed consumers of Middle East news.
yeah, that's great. Okay, well, I'm in if there's a slot for me and this Sunday, well, I don't have much time to bone
Sunday
up.
4:30 p.m. Paris time, so that's gonna be your morning.
Okay.
And yeah, you've read Olivier Roy, right?
Sorry.
You've read Olivier Roy on the failure of political Islam because that was the assigned
Yeah,
book.
I read
Yeah,
that. I have it in my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
bookcase.
Great. So you're going to
Great
be
book.
prepared already. It is a good book. He's a good
Yeah.
scholar. He's a good,
Okay.
interesting scholar. And if I weren't so busy, I'd invite him to join us too. I mean, he probably wouldn't come, but I'd invite him to
So
join.
that's the reading?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to read that the next day, reread it,
read
or
it already. Read it already.
well,
The thing is, the discussions are usually pretty freewheeling, and
right.
people will just talk about what's on their minds, and we'll probably end up talking about Iran a lot.
Yeah, they go all over the place. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
great. And if there's anything you want them to read beforehand, assign it.
Okay,
They've only
okay,
got they've only got a day to do the reading, so maybe just like an article if you think there's an article they should read, or if
okay. Well,
there's
that I would love to do that. I don't know, like I
so
will
networking
I will do
achieved.
my best to bone up and say something intelligent about political Islam. And then again, I when I first that was another thing. I delved into it when I started my career, and it just goes on and on and on, and it's a tough subject. I've kind of moved away from that over time. Migrate, of course, we all migrate to different things, but still fascinated about it, with it, and yeah, I'd be happy to give it a shot.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Can't wait. Okay,
Okay.
and
Well, Claire, are we getting close? I'm trying to remember if I have anything else I wanted to ask you.
well, I'm just thinking, is there anyone else I should invite to make sure that this is a rewarding networking experience for you? I
Just
will
go
think about
easy on me. Don't no, just
it.
I don't know. Don't
I
throw
will
me,
think about
don't throw me in there with too
it.
many
Yeah,
brilliant people, because don't make me look bad. No, no, it's fine. Whoever you want to throw in there, that's fine.
no, if there's like a kind of person you'd like to meet, I'm just thinking, do I know anyone in think tanks who would be interested in, well, we'll see what happens.
Give it some thought. So here's a question. How long do you spend? So you're like, you've got things going on the weekend. Do you ever take a break?
I haven't in a while. No, I
You
do
have,
take a break. I might, I don't have a choice but to take a break because if I don't take breaks, then I just find I can't do anything. I just find that
yeah, you have to. You
nothing,
have to.
nothing is, I'm not able to write anything. That's my sign that I need a break. Um,
Yeah.
so I do take breaks, but this past week and a half has been crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
same here. And I just felt like, well, this, like, I don't know, it just felt like a good opportunity to do some writing. And it's just like, Sean, you better strike while the iron's hot. But like, I don't know, like,
Well, I feel like people who subscribe to the Cosmopolitan Globalist want to know at a moment like this, they want me to help them to figure out what's going on.
sift
So I,
through at a very complex event, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Well, okay, I have a couple more questions, just quick, and then how have we
You just
going,
froze.
how long we've been going here?
Just an
Oh
hour.
no, am I with you here?
Yeah, you're here.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I just want to ask you, like, before we wrap it up, I want to ask you, you're in Paris. What's one of your favorite places to go in Paris?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I love my neighborhood. I love going
What?
to the local cheese store and the
Of
local
course.
wine store and the local. I have my favorite. There are a bunch of them in my neighborhood. Like I have my choice within a block. I have three different cheese stores. So
What?
I'm
Where do
so
you
spoiled.
what district do you,
I,
or
I live
aggrandizement, or what? Where do
I
you
live in the
live?
Marais near the Bastille.
Okay, nice.
So I love my neighborhood. I I take pleasure in it every time I step outside.
I
There are two cities that I've lived in my life that have absolutely mesmerized me. One is Istanbul. The other,
Istanbul. I know. Istanbul is. I haven't been. I've been to Ankara, but like, it's killing me. My
oh,
wife
you
and I was
haven't
like,
been to
we
Istanbul?
never been to Istanbul.
Oh,
It's killing me. It's killing
yeah.
me.
No, you should make that your absolute first priority the next time you leave.
Everyone from the region tells me, like, it's just like you gotta go. And yeah, anyone who's been there, actually. So
I
yeah,
think it was probably better when I was there because I think a lot has happened since I left that has made it less fun. But
you mean politically, or
yeah.
yeah,
But
okay.
my brother lives there now. My brother
Oh,
and two
okay.
because his wife works for the UN and so they're in Istanbul.
Oh,
Um,
so back to Paris real quick.
back
So
to
the wine
Paris.
and cheese. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You know, my brother's birthday was in February, and because it was his birthday, I wanted to splash out and get him some really nice French aftershave and cologne and this kind of like really expensive stuff that he wouldn't buy for himself and that I wouldn't buy for myself. So I never go into these stores. But this gave
Mm.
me the opportunity to go into all these really high-end perfumeries. And it was such a pleasure, especially after I bought the first bag. When you go in carrying the bag that says you're not just there to look, you're there to buy, and they start fawning over you.
Hmm.
Oh, it was just such a pleasure because the French really do this stuff well. They really know what they're doing. They really luxury shopping is what the French do better than anywhere else in the world. And of course, usually I don't do luxury shopping because Substack is not that great a gig.
I was going to ask you about that, but I won't worry about how much money you're making off your Substack. I won't worry. Oh, there's another cat.
Who's here
Oh,
to say
wow.
hello?
Which
Hi,
one is that?
Uber. He's by far the most curious. He's absolutely fearless from kittenhood. He was just fearless. I was always like grabbing him to get him out of trouble. His brothers and sister are much more cautious, and they like to make sure that he doesn't get killed first before they try anything. But he's always the first to play with any toy and the first to climb on any high perch. Um, Other things that I just love about Paris, it I well, it's all the cliches are true. The cafe culture, the Seine, the walks
Yeah,
by the Seine. It is
of
beautiful.
course.
It's a
Yeah,
beautiful,
it's gorgeous.
and France is a very, contrary to all belief, very friendly country, first of all, and it's a very well-run country.
Yeah, yeah. I know because I took a trip with a buddy into to Normandy, and I couldn't believe the roads were just so well maintained, and I mean better than the United States, obviously. But yeah,
All of my dealings with the French bureaucracy have really impressed me that they are really trying very hard. I mean, they're very bureaucratic. You have to have exactly the right,
yeah,
you have to know exactly how to handle them, with this form must be signed just this way. But if you do it the way they tell you to, the way they are very,
yeah.
very accommodating and very, they take their responsibilities as bureaucrats seriously. I mean, they're not time
Mm,
servers. They really want to do right by the French people. And that's
yeah,
an unusual experience, especially after coming from Turkey.
yeah. Where the
The
bureaucracy
bureaucracy was
is
not
not.
nearly as accommodating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, I'm jealous. Maybe someday we'll get out there and say hello.
It's
Because there's
actually, the cost of living is lower than the US.
don't tell that to my wife because she's like a travel, she's a travel fanatic, and we've still got a couple kids we're raising here in the state, but she just if she had her way, she'd drop everything and just go to Europe and just screw it. Who cares?
Does your wife have a national security background too?
No, not at
No.
all.
Mhm.
No. So she does. She's private sector. In fact, that's why I moved out.
Mhm.
You're in Paris. I'm in Florida. I'm in Florida because she took a job
All
here.
right.
So
I didn't realize you
yeah.
were in Florida. For some reason, I thought you were still in the DC area.
No, we moved right after I retired. She took a job down here, and yeah, we've been down here for a couple of months. But I think we've already decided like, okay, we're gonna do a little bit of time here, and then we're gonna go somewhere else. Not that Florida, the nice people here too, and everything. And I'm not slamming it, but
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
So
Yeah, they're
anyway,
very doable. I think a lot of Americans don't realize how doable it is. They think
huh?
you have, oodles of money and lots of connections to live in Paris. No, no. It is difficult to get a residency permit, and you need to have some reason to be here that makes sense to the French government. But
Yeah.
if you speak French, that's a big asset if you want to live
Oops.
in
What about
France.
Arabic? A lot of people speak Arabic there, so
They're actually a little more concerned about the Arabic speakers. They're
okay,
not
they're
picky about them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, something to think about. Look, Claire, it's been great talking to you. I hope we can have,
Lovely talking
well,
to
I
you.
guess like
We're going to
let's
talk to each other again on Sunday, and I'm looking
yeah,
forward to
let's do Sunday and keep up the good work at the
it.
Globalist. It's like you're doing a service. You're
Love it.
really like I think your site truly like is a cut above. And I encourage once again people out there to go check it out. And it's just
Thank you so much. That really
yeah,
good
that's all I
thing.
can say. Yeah. Check
That really,
check it out. It's worth the read and it's just so much more in depth
come
than a
join us.
lot.
We're not snobby.
No, not at all. Not at
But the way
all.
the way you're talking about it, I was worried that people might think, oh, maybe they're sort of stuck up. But no, we're not.
It's
We're
not. It's not. It's a great site. So check it out. And it's been a pleasure talking to you today and
and
all the best. And hopefully we can get through this. I don't
yeah,
know. Hopefully we can get through the next 3 weeks without
without a
any more
nuclear strain.
escalation in this stupid war. I don't know. Um, okay, so take care. Enjoy. I hope you have a little slice of weekend somehow, and we'll talk soon. Thank you
See
so
you on
much for
Sunday.
coming on today.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.